and this might surprise some people, Jihaad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. So I know you signed Nick Bolton. I know linebacker is not a need for us. But this guy, I've been doing a lot of mock drafts, and somehow this guy keeps showing up at our pick in the first round, the 31st pick. Now, this kind of goes to what Teja and JD were arguing about last week about BPA, drafting for BPA or drafting for need. This, you can make the argument it will be a need for us if they don't bring back Chanel next year. And you got this guy. And this guy, they're saying he might be the ultimate Swiss Army knife, but might be the ultimate chess piece in this year's draft class. Originally recruited, it was a 5-star recruit, originally recruited to be an edge rusher, but he became a linebacker. Been a 2-year starter at linebacker for the Alabama Crimson Tide, originally committed to Clemson. But yeah, he was originally to be an edge rusher, and they converted him to a linebacker, middle backer, and runs a 4.5, one of the best athletes in the draft, as far as many experts are calling him, probably the best athlete in the draft, calling him a top 15 talent. But because of his uniqueness, he may fall to where we are later on in the first round, which is interesting. And when you have one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL history, you can afford to take a guy like this and have him do it all, be all over the field. A freak of nature. Dangerous blitzer through the middle or putting him on the edge, putting his hand on the dirt, being able to do that. And that's something too. If you guys remember when we drafted Chanel was a guy who did do that. They did put him in the dirt, had him blitzing from all over the place at Wisconsin. But Campbell's probably a night and day athlete over Chanel, just based on the numbers and everything he's got going for him. But yeah. Athletic, can guard the best of them, the fastest of them. And this is, we talked about Willie Gay, why we may not bring back Willie Gay. And I think you may wait till after the draft to see if you can get a guy like Jihaad Campbell at the end of the first round. I get it. It's not D-line, but this, as we talked about, this draft is loaded in D-linemen. You can get your D-linemen in the second and the third rounds. And a guy like this.
I like hearing you say that.
What do you mean?
I just like hearing you say that.
Well, you can find a D-line in the second and third rounds?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, I don't understand why. Because I'm so gung-ho on drafting one.
You have been.
Well, yeah. No, I know. But, hey.
You're doing more in mocks, aren't you? You get to see some of that fruit that's a little higher in the tree, don't you?
Well, when I see a guy like Jihaad Campbell falling to our pick, who's everyone's saying he's one of the best athletes in the draft, best football players in the draft, and he's coming at 31, it's like, okay, well, why is he falling? But anyway, the big thing about him is the fact that he can kind of do it all. He can, blitz quarterback, play linebacker, be on the edge. Kind of does it checks off a lot of boxes for us because JD's talking about finding a guy who can be, that dude on the side who can go get the quarterback. You can do that with him. You can also put him back there at middle linebacker spot. You can do a lot with him, but the problem is, what's the kind of scheme he's going to be playing for? And that's the thing. And that's why a lot of people, they can't really mock him to a certain team because he's just so unique. And I think you have Steve Spagnuolo. You can do a lot with him. And that if he is there at 31, I don't think he will be, but the fact that there's a chance he may be, I think he can't pass him up. So that's why I have Jihaad Campbell here at this pick. Tej, I don't know, JD, are you still there? JD is gone. Teja, what do you think about this?
I can talk about Campbell.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
So Campbell, he's one of those dudes that just makes you want to take a position you didn't previously consider. So if you're going into this whole draft process thinking like, we're not taking linebacker, and then you watch him and you read about him, you're like, why not? Why can't you have a football player like that on your team? He just does it all. And it's so untapped too, because he can rush the passer. So he gives you what you need in that regard. If you take positions out of it, you think about needs, not positional needs, but like skill needs. What do we need? Right. You need a guy who can rush the passer. You need a guy who can attack downhill. You need a guy who can cover man and zone, agile laterally, straight line, sideline to sideline, long arms, size, speed. Really needs to improve most at reading and reacting because, again, he's only played linebacker for 2 years, right? 2 full years. Although he doesn't miss a lot of tackles, He doesn't have some of that knockback power and tries to drag ball carriers down, so he does miss tackles that way. Again, that comes with getting stronger and more experience in reading and reacting. I struggle with the idea of seeing he's there a lot in mocks at 31. I just think there's going to be some team that, again, salivates at what we're saying. Like, what can I, especially a defensive-minded coach, what can I do with this guy on the field? What can't I do with this guy on the field, right? Like, I have a feeling someone's going to say that before 31. I just don't think he lasts. I have gone through many mock drafts where I take him at 31, and then I say, you know what, I'm just going to figure the rest out now. Because, I didn't get a DN that I like. That's okay, because if your linebacker has the ability to get you 6 sacks in a season and still cover a sideline to sideline and attack the middle of the field and bat down passes with long arms and shadow fast quarterbacks, then you can live with that. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out where to get the other few sacks from somewhere else. And then you're talking about us as a team. You got Chanel in his last year. You got Trinkle 2 more years, and he'll be in his 30s at that time. We signed Bolden to big money, so if Campbell's indeed high on Veach's board, he makes it a 31, he's going to have a hard decision to make.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you kind of figure it out. You get the best football player possible at that pick if he does fall there. And the fact that, some people are calling him one of the best athletes in this draft. And it's also, too, you don't many times see, when people talk about, the ultimate chess piece, you don't usually see it for defense. It's usually an offensive guy. It's a guy who can play receiver, play running back, and do a lot of different things. They call Deebo Samuel for the longest time the ultimate chess piece. This guy, he just does. It's a little different, to have a linebacker who you can put his hand in dirt to freaking have him go get the quarterback. I think it would be the ultimate thing to give Steve Spagnuolo to kind of have fun and play with if he gets there. And I just kind of did this based on the fact that I've done a lot of mocks. I've seen him fall to the 32 spot, and I've seen Eagles take him at some spots too, right?
Oh, man. You don't want that to happen.
I could see a team like that taking a guy like this.
Totally.
Why not?
Totally.
JD,
he's top 12, 15 on most scouts, like Jeremiah's, McShay's on their overall value board in the draft.
Yeah,
he's top like 12 on a lot of guys.
He's a football player.
Crazy.
He's a football player. JD, what if on draft day, because a lot of mocks have him going to 31, if he falls to 31 and you see the Chiefs take him, what's your initial thoughts if that were to happen?
No, I don't think they'll take him. He falls to 31. I don't think they will. I think this for need. I think they'll go for more so need than they will for best player available. He's a very talented guy. Okay, runs a 4.5, very athletic, can help us out a whole lot. And I'm saying this, that you can have linebackers that can run, like we had Willie Gay, okay? And it talks about this, it kind of in his bio, talking about how he may get lost and then make up with his athletic ability. And it goes into the IQ of the place. But if you're not generating pass rush pressures, keeping guys off the linebacker, it's not even going to matter. They said he kind of gets stuck on blockers. That's another thing, gets behind blockers that come off. He's better at open the field, making tackles. He's a hell of a talent. He is a hell of a talent. I know we're talking about Leo Chanel, but I think he's more kind of on the tranquil spot. That's what he would be. He'll be that guy. Leo Chanel, if you look at like how much he's not playing as much as all the other linebackers. He's just not. A linebacker being able to cover tight ends would be nice, no question about it. That without a doubt. I think what helps eliminate that is if you have a pass rush. I think if you have a pass, huh?
He can do that.
Yeah, if you want him to do that, for sure. There's a lot of versatility with him, being there. And when I watched him, he makes plays. He's always in there on the ball. But that's just his speed and athletic ability. The thing is, that's, it is a Willie Gabe type. That is, he has the speed, athletic ability, athleticism just off the charts to do all those things. Shoot, Chiefs may take him if he's there. Absolutely, but then if you don't get the guy that you want, a defensive tackle or defensive end, shoot, then you're kind of wasting a piece. You haven't even cover, but if he can't get off blocks and you're having a problem with generated pass rush, he can't cover forever. So, but look, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad at it if they took him. Definitely not. But I think this is a piece for certain teams, right? Like you were saying, certain teams would not bypass a guy like him up. Will the Chiefs do that? Shoot, I don't know. But he's been, without a doubt, a hell of an athlete, a hell of a player. So
I think taking him would depend on two things. One, how enamored we are with him. Two, I think we'd be confident in some of those other positions that we want and need being available later.
Yeah.
I think we would have to be somewhat comfortable with both those things. And you know what? If they're like, if we do this, it sets us back a little bit. Now we might want to trade out of one of our next picks to get a couple more so we can get that position in here now. We have the flexibility to do that too, right? So I think, it's if that's worth it to them, then yeah, absolutely.
So let's say, okay, we'll give a scenario. Let's say a guy like James Pierce fell, or Mike Green, or somebody like that. And they had questions about it. Do you take them over Campbell?
Green.
Do the GM now, Teja.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Now, I'll be honest, I haven't looked into them as much just because I don't think they will. Pierce more so, I think. But I've heard if there's one guy with character problems, I heard he's numero uno on that character. I heard he's off half a team's boards because of his
Mike Green?
No, Pierce.
Oh, Pierce.
I heard Pierce big time character problems. I don't know, with our fifth offseason in a row of having character concerns or issues in the law, whether they're valid or not, or whether the charges are dropped or not. I don't know if we're going to just go walk right into that. But Green would be really hard for me. I'd probably go Green there because I think Green's also someone who's not expected to be there. Green's like the best of both worlds. Green's got a position we need off the bat, and he's got the overall value. Then you're talking about two guys with like top 12, 15 ratings overall, right? Pierce too, but Green minus the character, top 12, 15 talent overall. Then I think you do that.
Yeah.
Because we have the depth is better at linebacker, even with no Chanel after next year, than at the end. We got Jordan. That's pretty much it, right? As far as a sure thing goes on our team. So yeah, I would go Green. Pierce would be harder for me. I think when you're dealing with such big character concerns like that, I just think it's a different evaluation for them at that point because they're going off the field too, not just on the field. On the field, I'd probably if he was a good guy and no character concerns, I go Pierce for the same reasons I said before. It's a huge need for us, and he's a great value. It's both. It's crossing off two of them.
Yeah. What are you saying? Didn't mention linebacker to come out. The thing is, he'll come in and he'll play immediately. We'll have to get into the rotation. We'll have to use him. That's the thing about his versatility. You had to put it in and just utilize. Like, look, we're going to find somewhere for you to do. Certain packages, we'll have you just go get the football, or just to cover on third down, maybe the tight end, if you had to be the guy to do that. I can definitely see that. So that's what I'm saying, man. He's such a valuable pick. It'd be hard to pass on that. He would be hard to pass on if he fell to 31. But if you're getting the guy that you want, right? Because then all of a sudden you start looking at the D line. You're not going to have the D line that you want, right? You're not going to have the Harmons. You're not going to have, shoot, I just do a blank on something. the Alexanders, the Nolans. You're not going to have those guys. Those guys, are, if they're there, it's like, man, do we take those as opposed to this? So,
Yeah, definitely. It's funny too, because you always talk about like offensive pieces where like, oh, imagine Andy with this guy, right?
Mhm.
How often do you hear, imagine Spags cooking up a defense with this guy, right? I mean, you usually hear for the offensive side of things. You usually hear for that defensive side of things with a player with this kind of versatility. So yeah, it'd be definitely fun if this guy were to be there at 31. But again, who knows? But again, I will say linebacker is probably not top of my needs. It was just more based on if a guy's there at 31, do we take him? And he's got a lot going for him to be taken at 31. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.